That is
Oh,
embarrassing.
yeah.
And that's a doctor telling him to switch to cools and it'll be better, right? Wow.
April, when I started nursing, nurses smoked in the break room when they were giving report.
Yeah.
Is that woman pregnant up there in the last
Yes.
Oh my God.
Times have changed.
That one alone is actually a joke. The other ones are true. That one was part of a competition for like some. Anyway, but it says people are always telling me that smoking causes low birth weight. Talk about a win-win-win: an easy labor, a slim baby, and the full flavor of Winston's. And they were like, this is how ridiculous they were at the time, right? So it came out of a competition. That one is not real, but it gives a sentiment of how far we've come, right? But
So-
all the rest of them are.
Back in my formative years, I was a smoker. I was in the military, and I was an x-ray tech by training. I used to smoke x-ray patients, and it was common practice.
Yeah.
How disgusting is that?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, we know that now, right? At the time,
Yeah.
not as much research and knowledge as we have now. So, back to the strengths part. Most people are not at that point anymore, right? They don't believe that if you call your doctor, they're going to tell you to switch to a different one because it's filtered more. Those doctors will not recommend that you smoke ever. All of them should not recommend that. And then the St. Joe's is prominent in this community, right? It's a big part of the community, and they're invited to different health fairs and other events that happen within the community. You guys down the Bayshore Mall, and like they're all the different resource centers all over the place, right? Like you're a big part of the community. That is a strength to you. Also in the community, there's an aversion to like big or chain companies, right? I've seen that multiple times whenever any type of chain company tries to come in. Protocols are in place for assessing, addressing, and documenting tobacco use. In every department that I spoke with that responded back to me, there was an assessment that was done within the EMR, then the tobacco use was addressed in some way, and then it was documented in the EMR, right? And that was done consistently in all the departments that I spoke with, which is another strength. Then geographically isolated, so, and you know, it's hard to get out here, right? Like you take the 101 north or south, or you take the 299. Those are kind of your options. You can take the 36 if you're really brave. Other than that, I don't know other ways out of Humboldt County. So you got like basically 2 roads, right? And we're kind of geographically isolated. There are not a lot of providers in this area, right? St. Joe's, Providence owns most of them. You also have like Open Door, which I think is even merging, right? Or no? So like you have very few providers in the area, right? So getting information out doesn't take very long. You don't have to get dozens of clinics and tons of hospitals all together if you want to do something in your community, right? That is not going to be necessary here. We don't have a lot of them, and what ones we do have tend to be owned by bigger companies. There are very few individual practices here. And then you have relatively strong or advanced medical record capabilities and engagement from the oncology department, another strength at the organizational level. And then high tobacco taxes and the cost of tobacco use. Those both protect against tobacco use. So that's another strength. We have some of the highest taxes in the nation in California for tobacco use. Then there's the Employee Assistance Program, which is available to all employees. And that will give you, I think, 4 sessions of counseling for tobacco use through that resource. And they can even give you more resources to look into if you have other questions or other needs.
Do you know what where the counselors are from?
It depends on what your employee assistance program is, but they're hired by that program to specifically do that. So, cool.
I don't smoke, but I'm just, you know.
No, it's a good resource when you can talk to people about it, right? I'll address later in the opportunities that this is not well publicized amongst the staff, right? I've been in the facility multiple times and I've talked to different people, and a lot of them don't even know that you have an employee assistance program, right? Let alone what it can do for them, especially in regards to tobacco use. So it's a strength that you have it, that it's available, that it's free for staff for at least so long. But again, the opportunity will be in that you can make it more available, have more knowledge about it. And then community department, you have a lot of community partners that are engaged in tobacco cessation advocacy, education, and work. You have not only the American Cancer Society, who is here at the Cancer Committee meeting, but you also have the Tobacco Education Network, you have ASAP, you have lots of different community partners who are focused on tobacco cessation. So those are all strengths of the program. And then this is just a slide about the cost of smoking, right? Linda and I had talked about doing this before just to kind of see what it would be like. In a day of smoking, it's about the cost of a movie ticket if you smoke a pack a day, right? In a week, it's about a dinner date, like a nice dinner date, not like McDonald's, right? In a month, it's about a car payment, and in a year, it's about a cruise vacation for 2.
I would like a copy of that
I would
slide.
too, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I can pass this to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent it to both Jessica and.
We'll have that filed away for everybody.
Yeah, so it's really expensive, it's cost prohibitive, right? Which some people, when I spoke to them while we were doing the survey, were really upset about. They were like, I can't smoke because I can't afford it, but they were really angry. But it does help to reduce smoking rates, or any kind of tobacco rates, right? What's most popular with the kids here, right now, as far as tobacco is concerned, is chew, right? And that is such a foul habit, I don't understand, but still, again, expensive, right? Weaknesses, the most effective assessments and treatments are not necessarily being utilized, especially not across the board, right? In some departments, yes. Those tend to be departments though, where people are coming for tertiary care, right? Oncology does pretty well. And people in like respiratory therapy, things like that, they do really well. But primary care, and when you're trying to prevent it from getting to that point, it's not as robust. And the assessments don't talk about whether the person is ready, they're just like, do you do it? How much? How often? Right? Which is a good place to start. You want to start with how much, how often. It's a good assessment. Then you want to ask them if they're ready to quit. And if they're ready to quit, then here are the tools that we have in our toolbox here to help you. Right? And that is not done from the people that I spoke with, the managers of the departments I spoke with. The assessment is done, and then a printout comes from Crames, and they just attach it to the rest of the discharge papers, and that's the end of it, right?
And Kristen, when you told me those words, "Are you ready to quit?" I started putting that in my practice because it's non-judgmental. You know, when you go, "Are you ready to quit?" Yes, no, what? Yes, then you have no. Okay, we'll talk about this another time. That really freed me up to not be shy about asking that every time, because a lot of times any other way may seem too judgmental, or they're in the middle of all. If you say, "Are you ready to quit?" It's open-ended for them to be good or bad. Or
Yeah, there was a study in the literature review that I did that talked about how many nurses weren't trained and doctors weren't trained to talk to patients about tobacco use, right?
Right.
And then when they gave them training, like it went from like 15% of people willing to talk about it and actually talking about it with patients to like 85% of people willing to talk about it and actually talking about it with patients, right?
I read an article in my formative years, it was in JAMA, but it said basically patients who smoke, they surveyed them how many times a doctor or nurse had actually told them it was probably a good idea to stop smoking. And so it was amazing because most of them said, no, I've never been talked to about that. It was a while ago. So now my non-judgmental thing is to say, oh, I see, you're smoking a 40-pack a day. Has anybody ever told you that you should probably stop?
Yeah, and there's a chance that they haven't, right?
No, and I just, I just wanna make sure somebody's mentioned it to you, because now I have.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And make it a joke, sort of.
And
Yeah.
oncology, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Really good at addressing this. Like, but I know that Linda has talked to me before about kind of pressing this out to obstetrics and primary care and those who are kind of on the front lines who can prevent this from being a bigger problem.
You know, this maybe, since you mentioned it, and we've got a local nursing program, maybe it can be brought up at that level at CR, and then again out at HSU, at least for nurses,
That's a great idea.
to make that a part of the program, because it's not. It simply isn't.
Nope.
And it could be. How easy would that be even?
Even just asking, are you ready to quit, right? Like that's an
Oh, yeah,
easy tool,
are you
like she
ready?
said, it sounds non-judgmental.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you're ready, let's go for it. If you're not, we'll talk about it later, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, agreed. I think training can do a lot for
Or maybe, who was doing the physician, program? Joe, I think it was Joe, he was.
Yeah, Joe Carroll, yeah.
Joe Carroll, maybe that could even be brought up with his doctors,
His residents.
his residents.
Yeah, that's a good point. That can add that to the opportunities.
Yes.
So then another is that natural tobacco and smoking other substances, such as marijuana, is just part of the local culture, right? Smoking isn't necessarily seen as bad here as it is in other places. There are
It's actually seen as
interpersonal
helpful,
barriers.
and so by some people.
Right, yeah, people think it's healthy, right? They're like, oh, yeah, this is helping me.
We learned that from our Southern Humboldt's
Yeah.
Yes.
redheaded black belt survey.
Yeah. It's,
Oh.
we did.
That's part of my screening. I ask people about, if they're taking any other drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this one,
Or
Stephanie,
smoking
You can
anything else,
eat it.
right?
Yeah.
this one, Stephanie, is people who defended smoking as healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
actually good for you.
definitely educate people if they're, well, I take the THC for the blah, 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 smoking. I said, well, you can eat that.
Yeah.
There's all different ways.
But it's different than smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause all
And
smoke
like I
is
said,
bad
in the
smoke.
strengths, like, most people recognize that commercial tobacco use is bad for you, right? But there are still some in our community who don't believe that.
That's what I mean.
And then the interpersonal barriers to discussing tobacco cessation is that education and discussion of with nurses and doctors, right? A lot of people are like, yeah, we do it, but we don't do anything else. And from my understanding, from my discussions with the people that I spoke with was, we're just not trained, we don't, and this is our protocol, so we do exactly what the protocol says, and I don't know much more beyond that, right? And then there's limited behavioral health with competing priorities in the county, right? We can, the helpline is available to all California residents, so that is a counseling that does not have with other competing priorities, but every other behavioral health in the county has a lot of competing priorities here. And then organizational structure and conflict is just it's like a structure within structure, like things can take longer to happen in a facility like this than a Gerald Phelps where it's relatively small, right? Or in a single practice, things can just take longer and there is more conflict between priorities and interests, and then also like the strikes and just things like that, like different types of organizational structure and conflict that cause problems and that are unproductive work time. The other is tobacco cessation competes with other health priorities, such as the main reason for the visit. The provider doesn't want to discuss it because that's not why they came in, right? They came in because they have AFib, or they came in because they're an oncology patient, right? They didn't come in because they want help to quit smoking.
I
right?
will
So
say
that's
if
not
I'm
a
under
priority.
stress because of my cancer diagnosis, is not a good time for me to quit smoking because it relieves my
Right.
stress.
Right.
That's one I hear all the time.
Yeah, and so then another is limited tobacco certification programs for cessation. So they have, you can become a certified tobacco treatment specialist, or, get different, education, accreditation, credits, all that kind of stuff in tobacco use. There aren't a lot of those opportunities here. We don't even have a tobacco cessation treatment specialist program in the state. People in the state who are trained for the helpline have to fly to Arizona and take the class and then come back. And I spoke to Helpline about their thing with that. I was like, why not just build a program when you have enough people that are taking the calls, like why not? So it's not available here, it's not even in the state really. And then remote and isolated nature of the county and its residents makes it more difficult to do outreach and education. There are a lot of people up in the hills, a lot of people that are difficult to contact, people that came here specifically to be off the grid. They're difficult to outreach to. And then commercial tobacco use is addictive on a personal level. That's a weakness to the program, right? It is hard, it's addictive.
Just acknowledging that helps patients too sometimes. You say, you see all these big tobacco settlements. The reason the tobacco companies got sued was that they jacked up the amount of nicotine to make sure that you got addicted. So it is a very hard addiction. And they did it on purpose.
Yeah, and it took them, 50 years to admit to that?
Yeah.
Does this include vaping?
This does include vaping. Not as much of the assessment was focused on vaping because you don't assess vaping as much as you do tobacco cessation. Right, so that's part of that assessment thing. You don't assess all of the types of tobacco use either. They just say, do you use tobacco products? And some people don't even know the vape pen they're using is tobacco, right? They just think it's cotton candy flavored water.
Yeah.
Or whatever they think it is, right? Like, I've heard a lot of different things, and the state is combating that really heavily since Governor Brown signed the executive order that we have to address vaping and e-cigarette use since all this.
And Bruce, when we formed this, it's been over a year now,
Yeah.
we all decided, let's just focus on tobacco use,
Right.
Yeah.
smoking, and because it would just made this, this is huge just to do this. So we thought, let's start here. This was before vaping came out as
Yeah.
horrible as it is now.
But if you look at the the data right now, the trend in younger adults is.
Oh, yeah.
You know, anything to do with cigarettes,
Yeah.
but,
But if it's
Yeah.
cigarillos or
Yeah.
vape pens or e-cigarettes,
yeah,
that's what they're being advertised for too, right? Like, they're being advertised to that age group,
And to kids too.
right? Yep. Really little, and they're making it so that you can't tell what it is, right?
Yeah.
That'll be in the threats section, like the vape pens and stuff. They're in methodologies that their parents don't know they're using. It looks like a pen or it looks like a flash drive, right? It looks like a necklace charm, you know, like these vape pens, jewels, all these kinds of things can look like a lot of different things. And parents and teachers don't know what they are a lot of the time, so. Anyway, so some opportunities is to use the momentum from vaping and e-cigs that have been in the news, especially this summer and throughout the rest of the year until coronavirus came, right?
Yeah, right, they got
To-
bumped.
To move forward with any kind of visual aids or with, you know, talking to patients about this is, you know, this is still tobacco and other tobacco use is bad too. And then using that to kind of, using that momentum both for in your facility, getting traction on different projects or either implementing different assessments or treatments, but then also with the community for education since they've heard about it recently, right? And then more robust evidence-based treatment protocols, like we were talking about, changing the assessment, and then having more options available that are regularly done, besides just a printout from the EMR, right? Every department that I spoke to used a printout from the EMR. And then one of them had information in the lobby, and another got a patch prescription from the doctor. And like, there are a couple that are outside of that, but far and away the most common was you get an EHR printout, right? That the patient may or may not read, because it probably wasn't the main reason they came in. There's lots of other discharge papers. It's just not the most effective. That's been proven in the literature as well. So just having more robust ones would be an opportunity. Also visual aids, videos, posters, more areas of the facility, making it visible and known to people. And reminding not only patients, but also providers and nurses that it is a big issue. And then emphasis of primary care and not tertiary care, right? And then more community involvement or education specifically related to tobacco use. So we have opportunities to go to the vape shore mall, we have opportunities to do education and all outreach in lots of different forms, but rarely ever, I've never seen it focused on tobacco use. So that is an opportunity, you could actually be specifically related to tobacco use since it is the biggest killer in the United States, right? It's, at least for preventable causes. And then low-dose lung screening is new and can bring increased awareness to tobacco use, especially smoking. If they smoke, they can get the low-dose lung screening if they meet the 30 factors and the other criteria. And since both facilities actually are pretty new to low-dose lung screening, you can use that, right? You can, while you're doing all your advertising, like, hey, you can come get your low-dose lung screening here, so we can help you quit, you know, or because tobacco use is dangerous or whatever, you know, like adding on that education probably is important as well as just letting them know that you have a service. And then incentives from insurers or Medicaid or Medi-Cal, it's all here, right? There are incentive programs for quality and for other things you can get for having either peer-led self-management groups or for performing well on quality measures, things like that from insurers and then partnerships or stronger partnerships with community organizations and work groups. So there's a lot of really good work going on in the community, but St. Joe's isn't Tobacco Education Network, there's no healthcare provider on that committee except for one dentist, right? Like that's the only provider on the committee. And for ASAP, it's a lot of teachers and police and fire, and it's not a lot of healthcare people there, right? And then promoting the employee assistance program, because that would help their employees.
so low-dose CT is new here,
Yes.
but the program, the concept has been around.
Yeah, no, it's new to this facility and it's new to Southern Humboldt.
Yes.
Right, so
Yeah, and I think that's an important point, that
it's kind of new to our county, right,
it's
to our
an
area.
opportunity that's emerging in our community right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Indeed. And then for threats, the Tobacco Education Network is concerned that as marijuana smoke rooms and houses become more prominent and popular and the smoking regulations are deregulated, right? It happened in Colorado, they're concerned that it will happen here. That as those become more popular, smoking regulations decrease as well, because then you can have a smoking room in a restaurant and not a smoking room in a restaurant, or you can have more lounges or areas in facilities where you can't smoke, and less places become smoke-free. So they're concerned that that will happen, that it'll make smoking more acceptable in general and in more places, which will expose people to more second and third hand smoking. So that's a threat to the program. Also, e-cigarettes and vaping materials are often flavored, cool flavors, right? Like unicorn poop and rainbows, I don't know. And then they're disguised as something else, right? They're really popular and appealing to people. And then there's a lot of reduced funding for tobacco cessation programs or competing programs like opioids, right? In 1964, since then, in the last 56 years, right, we've done a lot around tobacco use, and we've reduced it by half, right? And that's really big progress, and then it kind of stagnated. The funding has stagnated. There isn't as much of it available. So, and there are, like I said, other competing priorities, like mental health, opioids, other things like that. Funding is being reduced. The state quit line used to offer free patches to anyone who called in, but now they can't. They can only do it to those who have a child aged 5 or younger in the household through the First Fight program. Lots of different programs are kind of cutting back on how many quality measures they have around it, so you don't get paid for those, and then how many programs are actually funded around tobacco use. Another is just the state programs that I just spoke about, and then that Native American tribal organizations can sell tobacco less expensively than they can in other grocery stores, gas stations, things like that. They aren't subject to the same taxes.
The main smoking cessation program that was at the University of California President's Office, is that still going? Okay. We had a big robust program at one time, and I know because the funding used to compete with breast cancer funding. So when tobacco taxes would be reduced, the breast cancer funding would be reduced.
Interesting, yeah, I don't know. And then, so as far as recommendations, refer patients directly to the helpline through either electronic referrals, bedside referrals, or other behavioral professionals, right? The helpline is a little bit easier, I think, because they don't have any other competing priorities, and your patients will get it, right? Like, they will call them, they will do anything to get them. Other behavioral health, they have competing priorities, and they might have to pay more. There are other barriers to care for other professionals, but if that's the route you want to take, that's awesome.
I think too, there's specialized training for tobacco cessation. And I
Right.
mean, you can be like a therapist or a counselor and not have any training in that specific
Right, that's why that
field.
TTS
Yeah.
certification is really important.
Exactly, so there's probably a lot of us that don't have it, and we can't, we're not certified.
Indeed. And then standardizing best practice tobacco assessment and treatment protocols across all departments. Like I said, in some departments, doing pretty well. In others, not as much. In most, not as much.
That
right?
was one of the biggest surprises for me when Kristen first showed me this. It's like, we do it different every department in St. Joe's, and I'm definitely gonna send this on to nurse leadership for sure, and probably employee health too.
Awesome. And so the 5 A's or even 3 A's or a similar framework is really helpful for that. And then building on the momentum of the dangers of vaping and e-cigarettes, the new low-dose lung screening programs, all of that, all the materials that are going out, all the attention it's getting, those things can help you build more education, more outreach, those kinds of things. And not only outreach to your patients, but also to providers and nurses, right? Like we said, there's a lack there as well. And then strengthen or build the relationships with other organizations to combine your expertise, your experience, your resources, and just the work that you're doing. So that's all I have.
It's kind of stunning that certification courses are not available online.
Yeah, I agree.
I looked, I couldn't find any.
No, I looked too. I was like, you know what? I know a lot about tobacco use at this point.
Mhm.
I would love to do that. Like that should be easy for me, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I had to go to Arizona. I was like, I'm not flying to Arizona for a multi-day class. No, it's not gonna happen. And you have to pay.
And
No, you
everybody,
don't.
before I shut this video off, I want to get on record for Kristen's faculty that we've had a lot of great intern relationships, but what was so awesome about you and what you're doing, Kristen, that was, we attended that outreach That was the Southern Humboldt Community Hospital, where they had all the community come and we had our tables and we did a tabling and just got to know each other and realized, God, this, it was Shirley and I saying this would be a great partner for a tobacco cessation collaboration. We hadn't redone ours forever. So a round of applause for Kristen and all her amazing hard work. Because she did good.
Years ago,